She noticed the silence, then did something small that mattered. Laasya Munjeti first noticed it one afternoon that felt ordinary at first. She went with her mom to a memory care facility near her home in San Ramon, just to drop off a small bag of toiletries. Pull in, sign in, smile at the receptionist, leave something helpful, drive away. But as they walked down the hallway, the quiet settled in. No music, no casual conversation, only the soft hum of overhead lights and a distant television no one was watching. Residents sat in chairs facing the window, hands folded, eyes open but distant. A staff member moved from room to room, kind and quick but clearly stretched. Laasya didn't know anyone there. She wasn't volunteering that day. She was just passing through, and perhaps that made it easier to notice. The place was clean, safe. Everyone was cared for. But the day seemed narrowed to the basics. Meals, medication, naps, repetition. A quiet lack of engagement lingered in the air. On the drive home, Laasya kept thinking about the small spaces in life, the little conversations, the gentle puzzles, the tiny moments that give the mind something to hold. She wondered what filled those long hours for people whose memories were fading. Laasya was a high school student who followed through. Assignments on time, showing up, structure mattered to her. She had volunteered before a few hours here and there, the way adults often encouraged, but this didn't feel like something one afternoon could fix. The silence stayed with her, so she started reading. Not in a rush, just steady curiosity. She learned about dementia, how it changes attention and mood. Stimulation didn't need to be complicated. In fact, complicated could frustrate. Simple, gentle prompts worked better. Bright visuals, familiar themes, repetition without pressure, activities with no wrong answers. One idea kept returning. Even as memory shifts, the need for connection remains. And connection doesn't always require someone to be in the room right then. Sometimes it comes from something you can hold, something that invites you to join in. That's when the booklets came to mind. Not thick workbooks or dense text, light, approachable, large print, colorful, something that could be used alone or with a caregiver. Less like therapy, more like a friendly invitation. She opened a blank document and began building pages, one careful step at a time. Puzzles that didn't punish forgetting. Simple word searches with everyday words. Easy matching games. Spot the difference pictures that didn't demand sharp focus. Gentle prompts to stir memories softly. Circle the foods you remember with drawings of classic snacks. Which of these songs sounds familiar? What's something you like to do on the weekends? She chose bright colors and clear shapes because they helped draw attention. She avoided anything that might feel childish or belittling. Over and over, she asked herself, would I want someone to hand this to my grandmother? She printed a few copies and brought them back to the center. The staff was polite. They thanked her, set the booklets aside. One nurse said they'd try them during activity time. Laasya left, hoping but uncertain. A week later, an email arrived. Short, a few lines. One resident had sat with a booklet for nearly half an hour, tracing pictures with her finger. Another had pointed to a page and spoken a name out loud, clear, as if it had been waiting. The staff member wrote, "We don't always get moments like that." Those words stayed with her, just as the silence had. So she made more booklets, then more. Then she set a goal, 1,000 booklets. At first, it seemed straightforward. Design, print, staple, deliver. But the work grew real. Her bedroom became a small workspace. Stacks of paper, finished booklets in a neat pile, a calendar marked with progress. Every night after homework, she sat and assembled, Fold, align, staple, check, pack it carefully so nothing is bent. Some evenings she was tired. School demands pulled hard, but she thought of that hallway, the chairs, the stillness, the hours stretching out, and she sat back down. When she had enough, she reached out to other memory care facilities. Emails introducing herself, explaining the booklets, asking what activities their residents enjoyed. She adjusted pages based on their feedback, learning which prompts felt comforting, which might stir sadness by accident, keeping everything light, familiar, kind. Word spread quietly. One center told another. Soon packages went beyond her town, then beyond her state. Letters began arriving. Actual letters, sometimes with a photo tucked inside. One place wrote that a resident who rarely joined in pointed excitedly at an old-fashioned object and named a rotary phone. Another said a man who often grew agitated would calm when someone sat with him and went through the pictures. A staff member noted, "It gave us a way in." Laasya kept the letters in a folder. They weren't proof for anyone else. They reminded her what this was all about. People, faces, days that once felt long, now touched by a gentle interruption. By the time she reached 1,000, the number felt almost beside the point. Each booklet was small, simple, easy to hold lightly in your hand. You might wonder how much difference it could make. But Laasya knew. Somewhere in a quiet room she would never see, a caregiver opens one, sits close, asks a soft question. A finger traces a picture. A word comes or a smile. The moment belongs to them. One evening, after school and after another stack finished, Laasya placed everything away. She looked at her hands, sore from the work. Outside her window, the neighborhood was calm. Porch lights glowed. A dog barked once, then it was quiet. She closed her eyes, and in the dark she felt something steady. Not grand, just the silence she first heard had grown a little less heavy. This is a true story of quiet persistence. One teenager who noticed, then acted, a few pages at a time, creating space for connection in places where it had grown thin. Be Happy Stories, everyday kindness, real warmth. Thanks for staying with us.